Hey guys, welcome back. This is Brain Dump, a show where I talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. I'm Kai. So, today's topic is dissociation because it's something I've been struggling with for a while, and I think. Oh my god, shut up. No, don't shut up. Got me cheesing on my phone and shit. Okay. Ah! Okay, guys, back to the topic. So, dissociation. I never really knew what dissociating was until my experience at the psychiatric hospital. Dissociation, by definition, is a mental process where a person disconnects from their thoughts, feelings, memories, or sense of identity. Just a preface before I dive deeper, I just want to remind you guys that I am not a mental health professional. I'm here to share my experience with this topic, and if at any point that I say something that is not correct, feel free to correct me in my Q&A box, and then I'll know. My experience with this has been consistent since November of last year. There was a period of time in February, March-ish, I kind of completely lost myself, and all I wanted to do was lay in bed. No crying, no anything, just to sit there and not be there. if you get what I'm saying. It's so hard to describe. In a way, I was avoiding everything that scares me because it is a defense mechanism, and I thought it meant that I was getting better because I wasn't feeling sad, but in reality, I wasn't feeling happy either. I just felt nothing. And I thought that that was the way that I had to live my life to avoid being depressed again. I settled. There was nothing and no one to make me feel something, anything, you know? And it's not like, woe's me, I don't have anybody, because I do. I have my people. But when I was in that state, there was nothing anyone could have done or said about it because I wasn't willing to change. I was protecting my peace, or I thought I was protecting my peace by avoiding everything, but I wound up making it 10 times worse for myself because I kind of pushed a lot of people away, and for that, I'm really sorry. I hurt a lot of people, and I can't blame that on my mental health. It was me. I called the shots in my life, and in the end, it was me who made the decisions that I made. I want to be better, and honestly, I'm trying to give myself more credit, and I think that I am a better version of myself now. I had to lose a lot of people to get to this place, but I know that the people who do really care about me wouldn't leave. Finding out that the people you've done so much for don't really care about you hurts, especially when everyone stops caring and leaves at the same time. It felt like my world was kind of crumbling, and it kept getting worse. But eventually I realized that it was time for me to stop giving energy to those people. It's not worth begging someone to be in your life. It really isn't. And I wish I could tell myself that 6 months ago. Hell, 19 years ago. I was constantly begging people to just stay because I was always afraid of them leaving, but that just pushed them all away. Wow, I'm having an epiphany right now as I'm speaking this. I'll always care about those friends, the people who helped me through a really awful time, and I will always be appreciative of that, but at the same time, some of those people left. Some people will make shit up about you to have everyone turn on you, and no one asks for your side of the story, so you get blocked and you don't get to stand up for yourself. That's life. People are going to believe what they want to, and there's absolutely nothing I can do about that. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that I have to ration my energy and where I put it towards, because sometimes you're just burnt out and you're exhausted, and it's because I was putting so much towards people that didn't want me to be in their lives. And that hurts. It really fucking hurts. I'd rather be focusing my energy on something or someone that cares about me rather than the people who leave with no explanation. The first time I noticed myself dissociating was probably 3 days after I started taking medication. I was never medicated for my bipolar, depression, or ADHD until I was 19 years old. I was taking Prozac at the time, and I just remember feeling like I was out of my body. I knew I was laying in my bed, but I don't know, it's like my brain was on the other side of the room. I know that sounds fucking crazy, but that's the best way I can describe it. Since I was pushing literally every thought or feeling I had away from me, I just disconnected with my feelings. They weren't there anymore. And that is really, really scary. Also, everyone's experience with dissociation is different, and that might not be what it looks like for you. And that's okay. There's this channel called Psych to Go on YouTube, and it has a great video explaining the different ways it can manifest itself if you're interested in looking at that. In my research for this episode, I noticed that the number one thing that people who struggle with dissociation have in common is memory loss. For a while, I thought I had a literal brain tumor. I convinced myself, with all the Grey's Anatomy that I watch, that I was dying of a brain tumor, because I could not for the life of me remember anything. If you asked me what I did yesterday, I genuinely would try to think about it. I have no fucking clue. Ask me what I did this morning, couldn't tell ya. I think my memory has significantly improved since I started to become mindful about that, but I constantly have to retrace steps in my brain to figure out what I'm trying to think of. I still have bad days. My mom gets so frustrated with me because we'll be in the middle of a conversation and I'll say, wait, what are you talking about? Like, I will literally forget what the topic of conversation is mid-conversation. And that also makes me frustrated because I think about school in the fall. How the fuck am I supposed to remember shit? But I am actively working on it, and it really is getting better compared to how bad it was. Sometimes I'll get out of my car and walk into work and suddenly I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? I do not remember driving here. I don't remember waking up and getting ready. It's scary because I don't want to live my entire life on autopilot. But when things get hard, my brain resorts to that, and I'm still trying to find different ways and coping mechanisms to stop that. In the times that I've noticed and caught myself dissociating, like I said before, it manifests itself in all sorts of different ways. You know when you're staring into space and your eyes kind of find a focus point, but once you're snapped out of it, you can go back to whatever it is you were doing. But when you're dissociating, there is no snapping out of it. It's like being zoned out and not being able to do anything to get out of that state of mind. The impact this has had in my life has been exhausting, to say the least. Constantly trying to be ultra aware of your thoughts so your mind doesn't try running away, but at the same time trying to chase your brain because it's doing what it wants to do. It's running away, doing its own thing. It's a really tough battle with yourself, but I think that I've grown a lot stronger as a person because of it. And if you struggle with dissociation, I want you to know that I'm proud of you because it's fucking terrible. And it's extremely difficult to grasp and understand it without actually living through it. There are therapeutic approaches like trauma-focused therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and dialectal behavior therapy, all things that I've said before, which from my research can be effective in treating dissociation. If you are in a position where you are able to, I highly recommend speaking with professionals to help you cope with it. Sometimes when I'm talking to someone, I notice myself dissociating, hence why I'm constantly forgetting what the conversation is about. They'll be talking, and then my eyes might get fixated on something, and then all the thoughts and my feelings that were in my mind just poof, gone. It happened in therapy, and my therapist was like, I want you to tell me whenever this happens during our sessions. And it was like every 2 or 3 minutes, I'd say, it's happening again. That's when I noticed how awful it was getting because I love therapy. I love getting help and hearing what my therapist has to say, but if I can't be present for that, what the hell am I present for? Nothing. That therapy session where she had me do that was definitely a turning point because it got me thinking, and I realized that I spent those last few months not there. I was present, but my mind wasn't there at all. I didn't have opinions on things that I usually feel strongly about. I stopped caring about my physical appearance. I just lost the sense of who I was. And after realizing that I've wasted so much of those past few months dissociating and missing out on living my life, I decided to turn my life around. And I know that's so much easier said than done. It is, and my life is in no way perfect at all, but I really value consistency because that's the only way that things change. I started going to the gym about 7 months ago. I dreaded it. I hated it. I did not want to work out at all, but I knew I wanted to be more fit. I've always been a somewhat not even somewhat. I've always been a scrawny person, and that contributed to a lot of my insecurities, but after continuing to work out, I started to see the results. That motivated me to go more because, okay, definition in my arms, got the calf muscles going on, the whole 9 yards. It makes me feel really good about myself. I don't dread it anymore because it's actually one of the main things keeping me going right now. That was also around the time when I realized I have to create my own happiness. As a kid, everything kind of gets handed to you, but as an adult, you kind of have to keep yourself busy in order to not go insane. Like I've said before, I love spending time outside and bike riding. That's something I never voluntarily did because I didn't think it was necessary. But let me tell you something, sunlight is so necessary. It gives you that boost of serotonin, and I noticed myself getting better sleep after I've spent time outside. I have a lot more energy, and my skin looks so good. Like, I have had really, really bad acne since probably my sophomore year of high school, and I only realized recently that it was stress. Like, I don't get acne anymore. A pimple here or there, and I have acne scars because a thing that I did growing up was I would pick my face, and I have acne scars, and I'm never going to be able to get rid of them, but, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions, it's okay. I don't have any big stressors in my life at the moment, Doing little things like going outside makes you see the effect it has on your body. And, okay, things are expensive. 2023 is expensive, but you deserve to treat yourself every once in a while. Give yourself permission to have that happiness. You are the only one that can truly provide it for yourself. Things can turn around. Dissociation is a coping mechanism, if you really think about it. At one point in my life, a lot of points in my life, it was too scary for me to be present. So as my body learned to dissociate, I knew that it protected me from thinking about my trauma. It kind of became my default state, The trauma was too much for me to handle, so once my brain knew that this, in a way, kept me safe and in my own little bubble with no thoughts or feelings, I wanted it to stay like that, to avoid it forever. But unfortunately, you can't avoid things like that. It's important to work through that and figure out what you need to get better, because everyone's different. Something I do to stop me from dissociating during a conversation is I visualize the words that they're saying in my head. So if they're talking, they're speaking something to me. Above their head, I see the words. I don't know why. It may just be because I'm a visual learner, and that's just how I do things. I need to see it. I need to visualize it. That's what's helped me the most. And like I said, everyone's different. You gotta figure out your niche, what you gotta do. Everything feels out of sync when you're dissociating. Like, there's a lag between me making a movement and my body actually moving. I don't know. It just feels like I'm a passenger in my own body and someone else is at the wheel. It's like you're not even in control of yourself, and that's terrifying. So I found this quiz called the Dissociative Experiences Scale, and I actually haven't read any of the questions, so we're going to go into this blindly. Number 1. Some people have the experience of driving or riding in a car or a bus or subway and suddenly realizing that they don't remember what happened during all or part of the trip. Select the number to show what percentage of the time this happens to you. 0% never, 100% always. Dude, I was just talking about this. Like, I'll show up to work and I don't remember how I got there. I mean, it doesn't happen every day. It's not always, but it's a good majority of the time. I'm gonna go with, let's say 70. Yeah, 70%. Each of the choices go by 10, so there's 0, 10, 20, 30, and so on, whatever. Number 2. Some people find that sometimes they're listening to someone talk and they suddenly realize they did not just hear part or all of what was said. I want to say this happens about 60% of the time. I'm trying to be a better listener, but this happens too often, and I can't. You'll be speaking to me? I don't know what the fuck you just said. I seriously have to make my brain work so hard to visualize those words that if I'm not putting enough effort into it, then I'm not going to understand what you're saying. It's like, it just feels like everyone else is speaking a different language half the time. Number 3, some people have the experience of finding themselves in a place they have no idea how they got there. Well, I always know how I got there. I know that I drove. I don't remember driving. 50%? I don't know. I don't know if I'm being too harsh with these answers or not harsh enough. Okay. Number 4, some people have the experience of finding themselves dressed in clothes that they don't remember putting on. Oh my god, yeah. Like I said before, I don't remember getting dressed. How did I get here? When I'm at work, sometimes I'll look down at my outfit and I don't remember putting it on. And I don't remember where I got these clothes from. Where did these clothes that are on my body come from? And that's, the memory loss thing too. It has a real effect on your brain. And I wish that it wasn't something that I've adapted to as my default. For this one, I think I'm going to go with like 80% of the time because it happens a lot. Alright, number 5, some people have the experience of finding new things among their belongings that they do not remember buying. Oh my god! Me just talking about this? I don't know where half my clothes come from. They just kind of appear in my closet, I feel like. See, all the questions about me forgetting things, that's gonna be closer to 100% because I forget everything. I'm gonna go with 90. I seriously, if you ask me to pick things out of my closet and ask me where I got them from, I genuinely could not tell you. I don't know. And sometimes when I say that, I'm like, I sound crazy. That's not a normal thing that people should go through, but everyone goes through unique shit, and this is my shit that I have to deal with. Number 6, some people sometimes find that they are approached by someone they do not know, who call them by another name or insist that they have met them before. Wait, what? If I've met them before? Okay, I kind of don't understand this question. Is it talking about me calling someone else by a different name or someone else calling me by a different name? I'm kind of confused. So I'm going to keep that one at 0%. My brain cannot process that. Number 7, some people sometimes have the experience of feeling as though they are standing next to themselves or watching themselves do something and actually see themselves as if they were looking at another person. Oh my god, this is just shit that I've been saying. My brain will be on one side of the room and my body's on the other. It's truly an out-of-body experience. I want to say this happens in the beginning of my dissociation experiences, I would definitely put 100%, but I do think that it has gotten a lot better, far better than what it was. So this aspect of it doesn't happen as much to me anymore, luckily. It's more of the memory loss and just brain fog, and obviously zoning out all the time, but I don't really have those out-of-body experiences anymore. The only time I've experienced that recently was when I was having a panic attack, so maybe it's just something that comes up when my emotions are heightened, I don't know. So I'm gonna go with like 20% of the time, because I don't have panic attacks that often, but they do happen, indeed. Number 8, some people are told that they sometimes do not recognize their friends or family members. No, I don't think this happens to me. I remember faces. I always remember faces. I may not remember your name, but I remember your faces. So I'm going to keep that one at 0. Number 9, some people find that they have no memory for some important events in their lives. For example, a wedding or graduation. Yeah. And this one's sad, because I think back on experiences that I say changed my life, and I would give anything to go back to that. I don't remember any specifics from it. You know, if I watch a video back, maybe it'll jog my memory, but I don't remember most things that happened in the past year, I want to say. The summer after I graduated, that's when I started spiraling. It's just, feels like my body's been asleep for a long time. So I'm going to put this one at like 80%. And that's why I love taking photos and videos, because I know that I'm going to want to look back on this. And lately I've been working more on just living in the moment and not worrying about getting photos or videos, because I wouldn't be able to remember this forever. Number 10, some people have had the experience of being accused of lying when they do not think that they have lied. I feel like this would only happen to me if I was remembering something incorrectly. You know, obviously a little white lie here and there is not awful, but I don't intentionally lie to people. That creates unnecessary drama that I don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to put that at like 10%, because if I don't remember something correctly, I'll be like, I never said that. Okay. Number 11, some people have the experience of looking in a mirror and not recognizing themselves. This is another thing that hasn't happened to me. I know what I look like, and I'm very fortunate enough to say that, because, you know, during my research for this episode, I watched a lot of videos, and people describe it like they look in the mirror and it's not them. And that must be awful to have to experience every day, looking in the mirror and not knowing who the person that you're staring at is, even though it's yourself. Number 12, some people have the experience of feeling that other people, objects, and the world around them are not real. As I'm living my life, I know that things are real. This personally doesn't happen to me. And hey, maybe this quiz is teaching me I don't have it as bad as some other people. 13, some people have the experience of feeling that their body does not seem to belong to them. I resonate with this more on a gender dysphoria level rather than a dissociation level. Just me not feeling like this body was for me, but that's just my gender identity crisis. I'm just gonna pass on that one, 0%. Number 14, some people have the experience of sometimes remembering a past event so vividly that they feel as if they were reliving that event. This happens a lot to me, 100%, especially with traumatic events. Certain triggers will bring up those feelings, and it places you right back where you were when that trauma happened. It's hard to get out of that mindset. Some people have the experience of not being sure whether things that they remember happening really did happen or whether they just dreamed them. Oh my god, yeah. This happened a few weeks ago, actually. I was who was it? I don't even remember who I was talking to, because memory loss. But I was talking about something and I was like, oh yeah, remember the other day when we did this? I think I was talking to my mom. I'm 99% sure. And my mom was like, we haven't done that yet. We were talking about it, but we haven't done it. And I don't know, I vividly remember the dream. Some people sometimes feel as if they are looking at the world through a fog, so that people and objects appear far away or unclear. I somewhat resonate with this, because when I'm dissociating, everything gets so blurry. My vision, it's definitely a funky feeling. So my total score was 30. So let's see. High and low DES scores. High levels of dissociation are indicated by scores of 30 or more. Scores under 30 indicate low levels. So I definitely am on the higher end of this scale, but I know that a lot of people have it worse than me, because I found this quiz on Reddit and people were commenting their results, and a lot of people were like, oh, I got a 67, and that must be an exhausting way to live. And these people can't control that. It makes me so mad when people don't take mental health seriously, because it affects the way that you live your everyday life. Moral of the story, dissociating sucks, and I hate that I've become so accustomed to doing it so often. It's really invalidating when people don't take it seriously, because this isn't something that I can turn off. I wish I could, but adjusting and adapting is the only option, and it'll get better. I know that it'll get better. In the back of my mind, I keep repeating that to myself, even if things suck right now. I know it's gonna be okay. That's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm still trying to figure out an outro for this podcast, so remember that you are loved, you are valued, and you are appreciated. God, can someone, tell me what to say at the end of this? Because I'm just, see you later. No, you won't. Like, you're not looking at me. I'll talk to you guys next week. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, bye.